are now tuned in to Flint After Dark, Flint, Michigan's #1 online podcast show. Make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. Speak for the Streets, ENT. Make sure that you follow the homie Terrence Sales on Facebook at Terrence Sales. And make sure that y'all stay locked into the #1 podcast in Flint, Flint After Dark. Speak for the streets, baby. Flint After Dark. Speak for the streets. Flint After Dark. Now rocking with Terrence Sale on Flint's #1 online podcast, Flint After Dark. We speak for the streets.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
I'll be the same, but there's so many things that are hand in hand. We can form a chain that never can be torn apart. Yeah. Together we stand, divided we fall. So let's build a bridge to tear down the walls, and let us respond to each other's calls. For together we stand, divided we fall. In life there are times we may disagree, but it doesn't mean that I don't care, because I need you and you need me.
Hallelujah.
Love has made that very clear. So together we stand, divided we fall. So let's build a bridge to tear down the wall.
Good evening, everyone. This is John Snow, Terrence Sales, Flint After Dark. We got a very special guest today. He's chairman of the board of Genesee County Commissioners. He's also a minister, a husband, a son. He was elected to Flint City Council at the age of 22. He is also a pillar and a leader of the community, a great community of Flint. He's a senior assistant to the international president of the UAW. At the age of 24, he was appointed as the president of Flint City Council. He also served on the Hurley Hospital Managers Board. He has proven his leadership skills and productive resolve in Genesee County area. By the way, his jurisdiction covers 11 cities, 17 townships, and 5 villages. I think it's safe to say Commissioner Chairman Lloyd has won the hearts and respect of the residents of Genesee County. How you doing today, sir?
God bless you. Thank you so much, man, for having me on. And certainly I appreciate your kind, your generous words. I learned from my grandmother a long time ago that people don't have to be nice. And when they are nice, they certainly don't have to be nice to us. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and talk, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you spending the time with me tonight too. I know you just left a meeting, didn't you?
Oh man, listen, my apologies, man. I'm getting on a little late. I'm literally just walking in the door a little while ago. It was raining before I came in. It's still raining a little bit, but we had our Genesee County Board of Commissioners committee meetings tonight, began at 5:30. And we're just handling the business, man, on behalf of Genesee County residents, man. So, no, I just literally got in. I took my my jacket off and threw on the sweater, and now I'm on with you, man. I'm ready to kick it after dark.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. Back in December of last year, Consumer Powers had planned to set the power off for a couple hours to upgrade or something they was doing, and knowing it was going to be cold and a lot of people with health issues and seniors and a lot of people was at risk of frigid conditions because people had breathing machines and
Sure.
I mean it just was too cold, right? So you and the commissioner, y'all stepped up and had an impact on the postponement of the repairs.
Wow.
Can you elaborate on the situation?
Yeah, so I actually, and again, thanks for having me on tonight. And I'm trying to see, can I see you on there? I see your still shot, but maybe I'm not supposed to. But anyway, no, so I received some calls from residents throughout the first district, particularly the north side of town where I grew up. A lot of people think that I grew up in the pulpit or in City Hall, but I actually grew up in the hood. 401 West Ridgeway, holla back at your boy if you're from Gundry's area. But anyway, I got calls from some folks there at night saying that their power was going to be shut off. And it was the first I'd heard of it. I didn't receive a notification or email or what have you. And so after receiving a number of calls, I jumped on the phone and called some folks from the community and some representatives from Consumers Power and Consumers Energy and confirmed that it was in fact the plan for them to shut down the grid to do some scheduled maintenance in the area that they felt like needed to be done. Mind you, this is one of the absolute coldest days of the winter season. On the north side of town, they're planning this, and our neighborhood on that side of town is full of some of the most vulnerable in our community. A lot of seniors, kids, individuals on fixed income that's really having it hard out here. And here it is that they're going to shut the grid down, shut the power off, and now these seniors are faced with the grim possibility of being without heat, electricity for their sleep machines, their oxygen tanks. 6 hours was the time frame that they talked about. Forced with the prospects of the meat souring in their refrigerators, their groceries, as high as groceries are, going bad. And so I looked around and I didn't see anybody really talking about it publicly. I didn't see local leadership raising it. And I said, listen, we got to do something. So I stayed on the phone that night. It was the night before, till about 4 a.m. in the morning with representatives from Consumers Energy. And I'm literally saying to them, not only can you not do this, but if you do this, you're going to have an upset community, and you're going to have one county commissioner that's going to scream to the mountaintops of how horrible and inconsiderate this was. And so a lot of back and forth conversation. And I'm suggesting to them, hey, listen, we got to have community feedback. We got to have community conversation. We have to engage the people. We got to give people notification. The residents are saying that they weren't aware of this. And so I told them, hey, in the morning, I'm calling the press conference. I'm going to invite pastors and leaders, community members, and we're going to have a conversation about this. And I'm going to turn up the heat to put some pressure on Consumers Energy to do what I believe was the right thing to do. Well, ultimately, right before we walked into the press conference to announce some things that we're going to do, I received a call from a rep from Consumers Energy saying that asking, have you had your press conference? I said, not yet. I'm headed in. They said, well, we've carried what you shared to our leadership. They've decided we're going to postpone this. We're going to shift it to the spring sometime. There would not be an interruption in your service. And they wanted to know, was I still going to do the press conference? I said, absolutely, but the tone will be a lot different now. I'll go in and still raise the concerns, but I'll also let them know what you have shared. And then I'll also share to the community what I've shared to you, Consumer Power, privately, is that we need to have community engagement, community conversations. We need to ask the residents, when do they think is the best time to do this? And then it needs to be scheduled in the warmer months of the year. So that was a long story to say that, I believe it's my responsibility to speak up for the residents in my community, and particularly in those moments where they feel they don't have a voice. They've elected me and their elected officials to be that mouthpiece for them, to speak up and to work on their behalf. So I'm thankful. I can't take all of the credit. Residents across this community complain, they raise their concerns, and it's just good the consumer heard the cry of all of the people, not just me as the county commissioner.
Okay. That was I thought that was you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But like you said, a lot of people that think that you live in the community, you live right in the community with us and shit. And you got people that's in the community, you know, family and friends. So
yeah, man,
that really meant a lot to you. I see that now.
You'll see those cars passing by us. I'll tell you a funny story, man. You know, different politicians in the community, particularly, they love to suggest, hey, he's not in the community. I grew up here and so on and so forth. And a member of the media reached out to me one day, and they had emailed and said, call us ASAP. And they said, hey, one of the local elected officials, who I won't say who, pitched a story that you don't live where you say you live. And so they said, we want to do a story. And so I said to them, I said, do you have FaceTime? They said, yes. So I hurry up and hit the button. Dialed their phone. I dialed their phone. And when they answered it, I was standing right over there. And I said, let me give you a tour of my place. So I went in my room. Here's my sleep machine. Here's the clothes on the floor. Here's the shower. Here's the water at the bottom. Here's a refrigerator full of food, all my clothes I need to clean up. And they said, we're not going to write this story because clearly you couldn't have made that up on the spot. So
right, absolutely. So what made you want to get into politics, and what did you realize once you got into the politics? When did you realize that you actually liked it? You know what I mean? It was something that you really wanted to do.
Man, you know what? Growing up, there came a point, and I still feel that way today, where, you know, it's not that I like politics because I don't like the politics. It's uncivil, it's nasty, it's unproductive in our community today. And it's not the same way it was when I was 22 years old on the council. The current culture literally grieves me. It makes me sad. It makes me upset at times. And so I never liked the politics of it, but I always had a desire to just make my community better and make the lives of the people around me better. And I felt like the best way to do it was not to sit back and critique and criticize others for the decisions they were making or not making, but to roll up my sleeves, get involved, and to position myself to be able to actually make the change and the progress that I wanted to see. And so that's what let me get involved. Watch politics when I was like a teenager. I watched city council meetings, watched C-SPAN, Congress, that kind of thing when I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. And there came a point later in my teenage years that with some good mentors, I made the decision that I wanted to dedicate my life to helping to make the community better and, again, improving the lives of people. Plus, I was adopted here in this community. The Lloyd family from here in Flint, they gave my twin brother and I a shot at life. And they were right here in Flint. I was born in Detroit, lived in Detroit as a child. My biological family is still in Detroit, so I have a tie to the city of Detroit. But I feel like I owe the city of Flint and the Flint community because it was here that I was able to find family. It was here that I was reared and raised. It was here that I learned about Jesus Christ, service, the importance of family. And I just want to pour that back into this community who's given so much to me.
Okay. So where'd you grow up at in Flint? Where you say you grew up at?
So we lived off Welch for a while by Cook Elementary School, 1649 Euclid Avenue. That house has been torn down. But as a child, we lived on Alma. We lived on Chatham Drive, right behind Gundry Elementary School, now Cathedral of Faith. Then we lived on Ridgeway. And, we moved a lot. My mother had 6 or 7 foster kids, and we had lived in some homes where they were like slum landlords and stuff. So basements would flood, and, there would be, insects, if you will. Well, I'm from the hood, roaches, that kind of thing. And a lot of lack of repair to the home. So we moved a lot. I also lived on Wesley for a while by Shiloh Commons, Wesley, and then we lived on Dewey Street as well, right off of ML King. Then at some point we moved to the south side to Wayne Street. That was 1602 Wayne, by the old Stewart School, by Brennan Center. And then my mother was blessed to actually buy a house on Euclid, so we moved there. And then when before I got in politics, I ended up moving back on Alma, on Ridgeway, next to the house that we had lived in next to my grandmother. So I've been all over the hood, man, all over the neighborhood, and lived in a number of places in the city.
Yeah, that just goes to prove it ain't where you from, it's where you at.
Yeah, listen.
You know what I mean? And I commend you for that.
Yeah.
You know, people always have excuses. Well, I'm from here, I'm from there, I'm from, you know what I mean? Adversity, I always say adversity build, you know, adverse times, situations build champions, you know?
Real
And
talk.
you just got to answer to the call, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you hear people say, never forget where you come from, but so many of us have been raised by people who instill great values in us. And I always tell people, and even people I mentor, no matter how far you go, no matter where you end up in life, never forget those jewels that's been placed on the inside of you too, because those, along with our experiences, whether good or bad, they all shape us into becoming the people that we are.
Okay, I'm gonna play this clip about DEI. It actually features you, and then I want you to elaborate off of everything with the DEI situation that was going on. Here you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
Done that. The other thing that I wanted to state is that I think it's appropriate that the DEI Commission has a chair and a vice chair. And so what I'll do is, along with the government operations chair, and is to schedule a meeting with the chair and vice chair, as well as Commissioner Winfrey, because I know you sit on the DEI as a representative from this group, just to schedule a meeting so that we can just kind of talk about, number one, the great work that the DEI Commission is doing, and how we can go about maybe incorporating perspective and build on the awesome work that group has done. Again, all perspectives are valued. We've done that as a body, and I look forward to sharing even more so concerns that you raised Commissioner Cousineau and Shoemaker, but raising in a way that also supports and celebrates the work that they've already done. I also wanted to say that I'm going to support this resolution tonight, and this is why I'm going to support it. I'm going to vote in the affirmative because my individual vote does not take away from the resolution we've already voted on, that mention action we've already taken as relates to DEI, establishing commission, and so on and so forth. And voting on the resolution does not abolish my commitment or the express commitment and voted commitment of this body to support diversity, equity, and inclusion across the county. It is a sensitive matter tonight. It is unfortunate on one hand that there is, two resolutions that we'll be voting on tonight, but I also respect, my colleagues' desire to, support Black history while, exercising his right not to be supportive of the other portion of that resolution. In the future, I'm hopeful that that we can just debate the resolutions, and if there's a change that we want to make to the main resolution, if you will, that we just debate that, make the adjustments to the resolutions, and vote them up or down at that point. And so, again, want to commend the board for the respectful discussion. I will be, based on the discussion, scheduling a meeting with the chair and vice chair of the DEI Commission to look at how we can build on the awesome work that they do, incorporate concerns that have been raised by Commissioner Shoemaker, and look forward to moving forward. What we do want the commission to take away from this, because there's folks that have volunteered their time, folks that have made great sacrifice to be a part, and there have been some positive things that have come out of there. I don't want those that are engaged in that process to become discouraged by this conversation. I disagree that this board does not support diversity, equity, inclusion, that we're not serious about it. I haven't seen that indication of anybody on this board, and I believe that we'll continue to work together and collaborate in that work. So I said a lot, but I tried to cover a lot of bases and hopefully, put us on the course to be able to move past this particular item. With that said, if there's additional discussion, I'd like to wrap the conversation.
Can you elaborate on that, on the DEI situation?
Wow. So I appreciate you pulling and playing that clip. So ultimately, it was reported to the community that I had voted to get rid of or to decrease DEI in Genesee County. The clip that you just saw, if you listen closely, shows and proves that absolutely could not have been more false. I would never vote to get rid of DEI and so on and so forth. And that clip, what you saw was my comments before I voted on 2 resolutions supporting Black History Month. One resolution had a reference to Genesee County's commitment to DEI, and the other resolution did not have that same reference, but they both resolutions were in support of Black History Month. I voted in support of both resolutions. And when it was suggested I did not support DEI, I voted for both resolutions to support Black History Month. One referenced Genesee County's commitment to DEI, one reference did not reference it. And so what you saw in that clip was my remarks before that vote, where I said to our board, the Genesee County Commission, that not only do I support DEI, but that I was making a commitment to also meet with our DEI commission to talk about how we can build upon the awesome work that they do. Dr. Kent Key is the chair of that commission. They dedicate a lot of their time and energy to making sure that Genesee County is an inclusive county where there's opportunity for everybody, regardless of their race, color, creed, who they love, et cetera, et cetera. And so before that vote, I talked about working with the commission to try to build on DEI in the county, to talk about how we can make sure all opinions are represented and valued, to talk about how I also talked about how I wanted to make sure the DEI commission knew that the Genesee County Commission, that we appreciated the work that they do. And one of my colleagues, who's a Republican, he had raised some concerns that he raised in that meeting. And I also want to make sure that the DEI commission was not discouraged by the discussion that our board had around DEI. As we know, DEI is not just a reality for some people, but it's also a buzzword for others. Some people understand what it entails, some people do not. And so it's really something that is used to divide people in a lot of senses. And it's also used by some people who I don't agree with to try to eliminate people who otherwise should be included. And so ultimately, again, that was just a clip that clarifies what someone suggested my position was, which was I did support DEI. I voted to get rid of DEI. We have not had a vote on Genesee County Commission since I've been there to add DEI or to take DEI away. What we have is our DEI commission. We have policies that are in place supporting DEI. We have language in our contracts. None of us will vote to get rid of that. I certainly won't support that. And so, not to keep the discussion going or to be divisive, I think I know the residents of Genesee County and Flint don't have a question of whether or not DELRICO Lloyd not only supports Black people, but all people, of whether or not people don't have real questions about whether or not, I believe that our county should be welcoming and inclusive of everybody. So I'll just stop right there because I don't want to go on, but appreciate you showing that. And then you also just showed a photo of me standing with a number of Caucasian people, Black Lives Matter, and folks saw that, and they'll make anything negative if they're looking for a political angle. But I want to give some context to that picture as well. I was driving from my office in Detroit. I work at the UAW, and I was driving up Woodward, and that group of individuals were standing at the corner of 12 Mile Road in Woodward, and they were protesting, or they were standing there making the showing. And so I pulled over and got out because I'm like, man, all of these Caucasian folks out here with these Black Lives Matter signs. So I got out, and they began to talk to me about how there are people in their families in their neighborhood that are racist. They don't support Black people, don't believe Black people should have opportunities. And they were standing out there to make a statement that if they can support Black people and all lives matter, that their peers should as well. And so I got out, and I admit, I said, hey, can I take a picture with you? I think this is great. I appreciate you all being out here. And there's nothing wrong with that, because again, I love and I support all people. So.
Okay, thank you for that great answer. Elaborating off of that video. Let me ask you this, right? I hope it makes sense to you.
Sure.
Okay. How do you feel about being a Black man in America in 2025 versus being a Black man growing up in America, if that makes sense?
So growing up in America as a young Black boy, there was so much as an adult, I can say this, there was so much that I was sheltered from that I didn't even realize, because I had a mother, although single, but a strong Black woman who looked out for and covered her babies, her young Black boys. And being an adult now, I didn't quite realize growing up how much she sheltered us from, or, oh man, hey man, don't do me like that, man. Put that picture up for me and my mama, man. I love her. But that's my baby right there. That's my first love. But anyway, she sheltered us from so much. And just think, man, this woman who was not able to have children herself, adopts 7 kids, and raises us as a single parent. She ended up quitting her job, fixed income. And she not only whooped us, but she raised us, she loved us. And I owe her a debt that I can never repay. But back to your question, she sheltered us from so much. So although I had certain experiences, even in foster care, because we were in white foster homes as well, there's so much we were sheltered from. So now as a grown man who has sons that have to grow up in this mean world, a grown man who's pastored young men and grown men, and as a representative have represented men and have had to conduct investigations in my role at UAW and Stellantis, I understand now more than anything that although I've had great opportunity to experience, that this world still is not fair, and it's still not a world that's welcoming to Black men, to Black women, to minorities in general. We have to fight so hard every day to achieve and to receive the due respect. And obviously there are certain people that believe that we should just shut up and just go away. And they wonder why we have these discussions about DEI and equity and equality. But we have these discussions because, discrimination and racism and biased natures still exist in this country. And so to answer your question, what's the difference? I was sheltered, although I had certain experiences as a child, but as an adult, not only do I have to face it head on, but I'm also, as a leader, responsible for helping to advocate, to lead people, to encourage people through it. And I tell you, it's not an easy task. It's a daunting task. It's a, at times, discouraging task. It's a task that invokes grief and tears out of me, because as a people, we shouldn't have to work this hard to be treated the way that we deserve and to be included in spaces that actually folks will benefit from having more of us at the table. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Are you aware of the Rayvon Shaheed situation? The 17-year-old young Black man that the Michigan State Police killed on the north side of Flint.
I don't know.
In 2024, last year, I think it was in November. I guess like a 2-part question. And is it any way possible you and your board of commissioners can help his family get justice, because the state of Michigan and the AG, Dana Nessels, has failed them tremendously?
Yeah. So let me say this. many members of that family I consider a part of my family. I talked about growing up on Ridgeway, and a good part of that family also grew up and was reared and raised on Ridgeway as well. I consider some of that family a part of my family. I love them. They love me. We go to church together. We fellowship together. We broke bread together. And what happened in this case is not just unfortunate, but it is very upsetting. It's sickening and saddening. And my prayers are remain with the family. What we can do as a county board of commissioners is do what some of us have done, and I certainly have already, is to have conversations with the law enforcement entities, leaders there, to talk about and to raise awareness and the concern that this happens too often in our community, and versus throwing mud or pointing fingers at him. Not only do we need to get him justice, his family justice, but we need to have policies and practices that prevent, tragedies like this from happening in the future. He was young with a future that could have been very bright, could have done amazing things in this world, just as he shared a lot of love with his family. And it's such a tragedy, and it's happening too often in our community. And it's something that certainly needs to stop. So my hope, my prayer, and my avocation is for justice for the family, for the revealance of truth. And so I hope that answers your question.
Okay. So how do you always ask everybody, all my guests, to come on here? How do you feel about the police brutality and killing launched again against Afro-Americans? I mean, I know they've been doing it forever, but the recent rash of killings and obsessive brutality against Afro-Americans, man, young and old.
Man,
how do you feel toward that, man? How do you feel about that, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, I remember being racially profiled as a teenager driving on Lapeer Road near Door Highway with a couple of my buddies. We were profiled. My boy B. Allen, he was in my wedding. That's one of my day ones. He was driving a red Cadillac that was brand new off the lot. He had 22-inch rims on it and a cream leather interior. And myself and him and one of my other buddies were riding together. And somebody would say, because I think he was about 19 years old at the time. And somebody say, well, how does a 19-year-old get a brand new Cadillac, brand new off the lot, top of the line, sedan DeVille with 22-inch rims on it, and so on and so forth? Well, I'm sure somebody's watching probably stereotyped him. Well, he got it because he had a grandmother and parents that were very wealthy, and at his 18th, at his prom, his grandmother bought a brand new Cadillac and told him he can drive it to the prom. And when he walked across the aisle and got his diploma, his grandmother, when they went in the parking lot, she put the keys in his hand and said, "Baby, this Cadillac is for you." And he worked at a shoe store like me, and he paid for the rims and put the rims on it. We were church-going boys, and we just happened to be out at night driving in this Cadillac. And white officers, the officers at the time, they walked up, ordered us out of the car, searched us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that was like one of my first adult brushes with profiling. They thought because we were at Door Highway and Lapeer Road, it was a club over there, that we were, in trouble. And none of us even went to clubs. Like, we had never even been to a club. I've probably been to a club maybe once or twice in my whole life. Not because it's bad, it's just it wasn't something that I was into doing. And right. So what do I think about it? It's absolutely terrible. Now, what I have done as a county commissioner is recently, because the law enforcement agency under the county is the sheriff's department. And I think our sheriff does a good job. Chris Swanson, he's a partner in this work. But we recently passed resolutions to add body-worn cameras for the deputies in the jail. And I was proud to support that, because I think we need to make sure that we have eyes everywhere and that there's accountability not just of inmates if they do something they shouldn't do, but also even more so our officers, our deputies, if they act inappropriately. So it's not their word against, it's not the inmate's word against the deputies and folks lean to the deputy. We have actual footage to be able to show what actually took place. And so, I just thought, instead of me just talking about how I feel, I'd mention something I've done more recently to try to make sure that all inmates, Black, white, Latino, Mexican, that they're not only treated fairly, but there's a record of how they've been engaged with.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I want to thank you personally for putting that resolution on the floor and asking the residents of the First Ward what they wanted you to do.
Oh yeah.
And you deliver this promise, right?
Yes, sir.
So in my book, you will always be legendary and one of my Black heroes.
Oh man.
Along with the great late Honorable Eric Mays. You in my book now. After I seen that, man. You know what I mean?
Man, salute to you, man. We miss Eric, man. Listen, man, that was the man. Let me tell you, man, Eric ran against me when I was about 23 years old. And he and I used to say our race goes down in history as one of the most respectful races in modern day in this city, as uncivil as the politics are here. But he and I would literally walk down the same streets campaigning. And there are doors that we literally showed up to, knocked on the doors together, running against each other, or we both were running for the job. And I remember a lady, Miss Ruth, she opened her door and she was just shocked to see that both candidates were at the door. So Eric's at the door saying, oh yeah, he's a good man, he's smart, he's a good young man. And I'm at the door, oh yeah, Eric's. So we're literally complimenting each other at the door. And we're going back and forth, asking this lady, okay, so who you gonna vote for? Vote for me. Well, support me. Can you support me? And so that's something his son even brought up, like after he passed, that his dad had told him that story, and I told it at his wake as well. Certainly miss him. He was passionate about the community. He loved the First Ward in the city of Flint as a whole. And obviously people would debate all of our approaches, but at the end of the day, what I care most about is what God cares about, and that's a person's heart and their desire to serve, love people, and do the right thing. And I believe that was Eric Mays.
Right. Because I like I said, I've been loving the way you've been moving. I see like in the last week, you're like in a 72-hour turnaround. You did a town hall for the seniors, asking what they wanted you to do. Then you put a resolution on the floor and got it passed anonymously 8-0 by the Board of Commissioners, man. You realize that was some legendary stuff you did, man. And you know what I mean? In like 72 hours.
No,
you know what I mean?
I appreciate you. One of the things, I try to remember every moment. As a matter of fact, I was appointed to the commission. I'm gonna show you this picture in my house. This picture, I not only had this picture, y'all don't need to see my bathroom, but I not only had this picture in my office at Genesee County. That's B.B. Nolden, and that's me standing up in the picture at the Institute of Art, admiring this picture. And my wife took this picture unbeknownst to me. So I have this picture here in my house, but I also have it in my office at the county because I just want to be reminded. Actually, that's a picture of my wife. As y'all know, she's a very, very accomplished dancer. But anyway, I keep that picture there because I want to be reminded that as a county commissioner, I'm serving in this role because there's somebody who came before me, B.B. Nolden, God rest his soul. And every day I try to make sure that I'm reminded that I have the honor of serving because he once served, and that it's always about the people. I've always been that way anyway. So when it came to Hasselbring, it was a no-brainer for me to represent the people. And for me, there's no dragging my feet. I knew that once they were evicted by the city and the judge had made the ruling, that our vendor, Beverly Lewis and Hasselbring Nonprofit Corporation, that they would be in the street. And because they're a vendor of the county and they serve the seniors that I serve, and that I represent, I can't let them be out in the cold. And so certainly I didn't have time to spare. They were evicted on Thursday by the court. On Friday morning, I met with Miss Beverly Lewis. Friday night, I met with her board to find out what their plans were and to make sure they were all on the same page. And then coming out of that meeting, I said to them, although I've heard from you, I know what I'm interested in doing, but I need to hear from the seniors before I go any further. And they asked, so when do you want to do that? As soon as possible. So Tuesday became the day. So that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And so Tuesday, I met with the seniors and I was very clear. I'm not here to beat up the mayor. I'm not here to beat up the city council. You know, I'm not here to rehash what happened in court. I'm here just to provide solutions and to offer a path forward. And I shared with them that, you know, it was my plan to bring a resolution to not just change the address of her, where she did services. When people suggest that, they're minimizing, in my opinion, what we really did. What I was doing was bringing a resolution to support the resources going with her and not remaining at Hasselbring where the resources have been. And so the seniors, you know, nobody trashed anybody. They just talked about how they supported Ms. Lewis and the services. And at the end of that meeting, I said to them, based on what you shared, I want to know from you, do you support me bringing a resolution? I asked the seniors that, and they responded overwhelmingly yes. And then a lady stood up and she said, we don't have to keep going through this. Everybody who in favor of him doing that for Beverly Lewis and nonprofit, raise your hand. And everybody raised their hand in the room. There wasn't one person who didn't raise their hand. And so I said, okay, that's settled. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow, y'all meet me at the county commission at 5:30, and I'm gonna bring a resolution, and I'm gonna lobby all of my colleagues, and I'm gonna do my best to get this resolution passed so that Miss Beverly Lewis can remain in business, continue to provide services to the seniors. And after a lot of negativity that came, a lot of lobbying, my colleagues were lobbied by a number of people. The seniors came and they spoke loud and clear. And I believe that is because of their engagement, them advocating for themselves and them just telling the truth about how they felt and what they had saw. I believe that it was very compelling of my colleagues, and they agreed to support what I was looking to do 8-0. So it wasn't just me, although I laid out on it, I moved on it, acted on it. I believe that that resolution was passed because the people stood up as they had done for so long, because they made their voices clear. And so I want to salute and celebrate the seniors because it's because of them that they ended up with the results that they wanted to have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I meant to play the clip before I asked the question, but here, I'm gonna play this clip.
Play the clip.
Eric. Genesee County Board of Commissioners Chairman DELRICO J Lloyd today hosts a senior town hall forum at the Hasselbring Senior Center, giving seniors a direct voice in the ongoing debate over the future of the center. The discussion centered around the ongoing division in the community regarding future leadership. While some seniors back Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely's plan, others support the continued operations of Beverly Lewis and the Hasselbring Senior Center nonprofit corporation. Commissioner Lloyd presented his intention to introduce a resolution amending the county's contract with Lewis, ensuring continued funding as she transitions to a new location at the Kennedy Center.
What we want to do is make sure that the seniors who may decide not to stay are not left in the cold. We want to make sure that those seniors have a place to go and they have funding to support continued senior services while we consider if we'll provide support to Hasselbring under the mayor's plan.
Commissioner Lloyd emphasizes his commitment to ensure all seniors, regardless of where they choose to go, have access to the services they need. The Hasselbring Senior Center will stop operating under Beverly Lewis's leadership this Friday afternoon at 5. She will transition to the Kennedy Center Monday morning at 8 to continue providing services.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. Commissioner Lloyd, how do you feel about the city of Flint, harassing, man, our seniors, man, during they move from Hasselbrink Senior Center to the Senior Citizen Center to the Kennedy Center, man. Why do you think? I'm just gonna say it. The mayor allegedly has it in for the nonprofit 501c that currently helping our seniors, spearheaded by Miss Beverly Lewis.
You know what I'll say is this: that by what we've seen, both before. I mean, granted, the city evicted them, and so clearly, the city's perspective, the mayor's perspective, is not positive as it relates to Beverly Lewis or Hasselbrink nonprofit or corporation. And I wish I could see all of the comments there. I don't know how to pull them all up, but anyway, there's no doubt that they have disdain for Miss Lewis and Hasselbrink Nonprofit Corporation. And I just think that everything that has happened, both prior to my town hall and since the town hall, I just think it's very unfortunate. I think it's very unfortunate. It's upsetting. The seniors deserve our respect. They deserve our consideration. And, the fact that things have gone to the extent that they have, I just think is unfortunate. What I hope is that, let me stop looking at these comments because I'm trying to catch them, but they're going by so fast.
After you get through answering the question, I'll read a few to you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you for being on and engaging. So I just think that that what has happened overall as it relates to the seniors is upsetting. It's unfortunate. I don't understand it. Maybe the mayor understands why he's doing it, but I don't understand. And I think it's just very, very unfortunate and not what we need in the community right now. What I'm hopeful for is that the mayor, city council, all elected officials will get back to focusing on the main thing, and that's just taking care of the people, particularly our seniors and our youth, those that are disabled, the most vulnerable in our community, and that we get away from anything that could further divide the community or hurt people. I think we have to ask ourselves the question before we act and before we talk, is that, how do the words I have, please the Lord, but also how are my decisions and the words that I speak going to be a blessing to the people of Flint and Genesee County? And if, there's any question about either, then I just think we shouldn't say it and we shouldn't do it. And that, and so I just think it's not good. I don't know what his motivation is behind, potential, sending the police up there or even evicting them. I just think it wasn't good for the community. It wasn't the best for our community. And I'm just grateful and thankful that I was able to lead my board in a way that allowed us to do something that allowed the seniors to ultimately have a win in the situation.
Right. Well, I'm just going to say it, Commissioner Lloyd, but everybody know me. I would say way worse, but I'm not going to say it because you on here and I respect you, a pastor, a minister. But I just say it's real. It's very nasty and distasteful, man. I want to say much more, but I can't say it while you on here. You know what I mean? I ain't going to do it. But
I don't believe
I appreciate what you did for them. I just don't understand, man, why you want to. We got to take care of our seniors, man. Why would you target the seniors like that, man, and be so nasty and disrespectful towards, what I mean?
I don't understand it either. And, and then since, me taking the stand for the seniors and standing up with them, the amount of calls I received from people saying, you better watch yourself, be very, very careful, they're after you, they're not going to stop till they bring you down, they're upset. I got a call from the media, somebody in the mainstream media saying, hey, you need to be very careful. Folks are pitching stories, trying to get the media to pick it up, to bring you down. Folks are in full campaign mode. And I'm saying, we don't need to be focused on that. We need to just be focused on best serving this community and represent people. And, there's still time for the mayor to do whatever he can to try to make it right. I don't think he can make this right, but it's never too late for all of us to just stand behind the people, stand up for the people, and act in a way that benefits the people. And And I'm hopeful that all current elected officials will do that. Certainly, I'm going to do my part. I've been doing my part, and I'm looking to do more. Every day, I'm looking to see how I can serve the residents.
Right. And I'm gonna read a few of these comments for you too. Hey, anybody y'all want to chime in and ask the commissioner a question? Go ahead. But
please, and I'll answer shorter.
All right, yeah, right. Tia Harris, there needs this for Miss Tia Harris, first ward resident. There needs to be intentional efforts to bring real solutions to the problems that plague our city and stop with the foolishness and selfish agendas.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tia. I've known you a long time. There should be one agenda, and it should be just as I did with the seniors. Seniors, what do you want me to do? And because if we ask the people, they'll tell us. And then it's our job to just figure out how we can get it done. But I think that everybody's focus is not the same. But I don't spend my time focusing on what other people do. I try to make sure that my actions align in a way where my wife, my kids can be pleased, God can be pleased, the constituents can be pleased, but I also can sleep well at night knowing I did the best I could. And that's all I have to give. The city is just doing the best I can. I'm not perfect. I may fall short, but every day I wake up and lay down, I'm going to give it my best. And that's what I hope that the residents see.
Yeah. James Cochran said, I'm tired of talking. We messed up over here. Man, House Spring situation is not life or death. We have poisonous water. I agree with on that situation with the what you think about that, Commissioner? What do you think about the water, man?
Yeah,
the water situation.
So I agree with you, James. Thanks so much for chiming in. As an elected leader, I don't have the luxury of focusing on one item and not others. I have to juggle multiple balls at one time. I have to run and chew gum at the same time. And so Hasselbring to me can be, while it's important to some residents, I can be focused on that. While water is important to others, I can be focused on that. And I should be, because I'm elected to. There's a lot of complex issues that the county faces that we have to focus on. I think the water situation is terrible. When I was on the city council, I fought hard to and was a part of starting the Carroll County Water Authority. Why? Because the threats are a distraction. Good, you are aware, DELRICO. Yes, I'm very much aware, but I'm not shaken about threats and folks coming. Just know when you see stuff come up in social media and in the media, know that there are folks that are behind it. But the water. So I was the first treasurer of the KWA, the Carroll County Water Authority, and our purpose of doing that at that time was so that we control our own water destiny and all of that kind of stuff to help control the water rates and so on and so forth. And what happened with the poison in the water, I don't need to lecture you, was absolutely terrible. But what's even more terrible to me now is how long it's taken to get all of the service lines replaced and to get to a point where we actually have clean water that folks can trust. And so I think it's absolutely terrible. From the county perspective, there are, only certain things that we can do as it relates to that. But one of the questions that I've asked is if there's any resources that we can provide to be supportive of those efforts. But I think, if I was serving at the city, or if I had the opportunity to serve at the city at some point in the future, if that's in the Lord's plan, then I think that this needs to be at the top of the list and it needs to be fixed. Residents have had enough lip service. We need to have an accounting of the money that's come into the city. There should be an inventory of what the money has been spent on and how many lines that it's been associated with. There should be an inventory of the lines that have not been repaired and all of the work that needs to be done. And there should be a pairing of the resources that came into this community. There should be a forensic audit, but there should be a pairing of those resources with all of those lines that are yet to be replaced. There should be a timeline that's established and not just publicized to our residents, but there should be regular updates, just like it was when there was COVID. Okay. where they had on the screen, how many individuals, lost their lives as a result of COVID. We should have a running, ongoing accounting in this community about how many service lines have been repaired, how many have not been repaired, how much money do we need, how much money we're spending. I think there should have been overall greater accountability to our residents. But again, it's never too late for folks to step up and to make that happen. So thank you for asking the question about the water. I think it's terrible. I bathe in this water. I've had rashes on my skin as a result of it. I've had patches in my beard. That's why I don't grow it out now, because after showering in this water for so long, I had what some would consider as like alopecia, but it was as a result of that water where my hair wouldn't even grow in certain spots. My hair shedding and that kind of stuff. My mother, who is a amputee and a lot of other health issues, she's had hair that shedded as a result of it. So it needs to be fixed, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to make that happen. Why is KWA in Genesee County, we're paying for it and not using it? So a lot of this happened when I was out of politics. There was a contract signed at some point with GLEWA, Great Lakes Water Authority, and there was a decision made that the city would not be a part of the KWA and receive water from there. So I don't have all of the history on that, and I don't totally understand what the city is paying or not paying as a result of that. I wish the city had been with KWA, because we wouldn't be faced with this increase that GLEWA is pushing now. How will you handle our water payments going up in July when we already pay the highest water bill in the United States? Genesee County, we don't have any jurisdiction over the water rates for the city of Flint. That is a city of Flint piece. And so I won't even fluff you on that. We have no vote. We have no jurisdiction. The water bills are not paid to Genesee County. And so we don't have anything we have no jurisdiction over that. In terms of the water rates, I'm not surprised that GLEWA will raise the rates. They're in control of the water destiny of Flint under the 30-year contract. And so, unfortunately, the city's at their whim on one hand. On the other hand, I know that the city has had a history of borrowing from the water and sewer funds and driving up deficit in that area. I don't know if that's the case now. I'm talking about my history when I was at the city. And so I don't know all of the details as to what's happening with that fund, but there should be a lot of conversation about what it takes to lower. I mean, our delegation should be sitting, in the driveway of GLEWA saying, hey, we're not going to leave it till you give us a deal. There should be some negotiation and conversation about those rates. See, people don't understand, and we got council people that support out-of-towners who talk about Flint residents having to bathe in bottled water. I can show you a bunch of water that I have over there. I still don't cook with it myself. I don't cook with the water when I make tea and my carrot. I'll show y'all, because since people think I don't live here, when you come to my house, you'll see he got all this stuff. How many of y'all houses have a counter that's full of mail? So that's a bunch of mail that's on my counter. But anyway, you see my carrot there. And when I when I make tea or I'm drinking coffee or whatever I'm drinking, I don't use tap water. I use bottled water because I'm not there yet, and I don't necessarily believe the residents should be either. Now that's without me having the studies. I'm just not comfortable, and I don't use it. So, $100 million in bonds issued under emergency manager for KWA. Correct. I don't remember those numbers. I'm not making up answers. That was better than I left politics in 2012, I think it was, and so a lot of the numbers and stuff after that, I'm not certain of. And then I didn't return to civic office until 2023, until 2023. So a lot of those numbers I don't totally remember.
Yeah. All right. Well, you had to know I was gonna ask you this question right here. That you being a former city council member, How do you feel about our current city council? I mean, I know you can't say much, but how do you feel about our current city council, man? To me, they have no integrity, man. A bunch of selfish agendas, a bunch of division, no professionalism, in my honest opinion. So, how you feel about it?
I'll give you an honest answer in this, that what I'll say is that that I'm hopeful that the mayor and council as a whole and all elected officials will learn and prioritize working better together. I served on council, and serving on council isn't easy. I was the youngest ever elected at the time at 22 in 2008. I served as vice president when I was 23 years old. I served as president when I was 24 years old. As a matter of fact, when I ran for president of council, Sheldon Neely ran for council president at the time, and I was fortunate enough to be elected. But regardless of our differences at the time, one thing that we did was we prioritized working together. We were civil, we were professional. During the time when I was president of council, it was one of the most peaceful times ever in the history of council. I think, we respected the residents. The residents, as a result, have respect for us, kind of like I chair the county commission right now. And so we got the business done. Our meetings didn't go late. We always completed our agendas, and that's not a shade or knock, because I know the current council has its own dynamics. And I try not to critique them because I'm an elected official. I'm across the county, and I kind of just try to give them the respect of, doing what they feel like they need to do for the residents. But what I'm clear about is that the political landscape in our community is not working. It's not working. It's not productive. It's gotten ugly and mean and nasty. It's gotten childish and immature. And I think our residents deserve better from all levels of government. And my hope is that, one day everybody will come to that same realization, and we'll be able to get back to a place of progress and productivity in our community. So, I'm gonna stop short of giving like my personal opinion about who and what and so on and so forth, because I just don't think that's productive. I don't think lending my opinion in that way is helpful to the climate. What I'm committed to doing is just trying to set the best example I can. I'll work with anybody, and I do work with anybody if it's working towards something that's in the best interest of our residents. And I'm hopeful that the day will come where we have a city hall again that's totally focused on getting the business done, and not, a lot of the trivial, exchanges in nature that we see. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. Sherry Allen, she wants you to answer a question, Commissioner. She said, what would you do if you became mayor about the water? I think that's what you're talking about.
Also, that's a trick question there. That's a trick question. You said, what would I do if I became mayor? I haven't decided that I'm gonna run for mayor. Certainly is something that I think about, but I think about it for two reasons. One, because I'll start with the second, because there's just been an overabundance of people in the community, like everyday residents, leaders, business leaders, grassroots, advocates and activists that have approached me and asked me to consider doing it. Hey, we like for you to do it. We think you should do it. We need you to do it. And I really, really appreciate that confidence. I appreciate the prayers even the more. And so it's something I think about, because I think I can serve the community well in that role. But I think it's just very premature for me to make that decision. The mayor's race is not until 2026, August and November. So, I think the sign up will probably be like March or April of next year. And I think it's not productive and responsible for me to be, really posturing in that way. People elected me to do a job now, and that's what I need to be focused on. And I am. What I will say is, so your question was, what would I do if I were mayor to address the water.
I was going to ask you, was you going to run for mayor? But I'll go ahead and put it out there. That was my last question.
Yeah,
People want to know. The people want to know.
Well, it's something I definitely consider, and I consider it in part because there seems to be, a number of residents who desire for me to do so. But desire for residents alone is not enough. I have to be clear in my soul and in my heart and in my spirit that it's something that the Lord wants me to do. That's not a play on religion. I'm not that guy. I am who I am, and it's because of the Lord. And so, that's something I have to reconcile, not just with the Lord, but my wife. Hey, y'all, I'm 39 now. I'll be 40 on May 1st. I'm not 22 now, and I'm not single. Back then, I could just make a decision on my own. Now I need to make sure that my wife is on board and my family, because, like I said, it's a commitment, and I will give it my whole heart. But I'm not there yet. But let me go back to our question about mayor, about water. I just kind of mentioned some of that already. I think that there has to be a forensic audit as to the resources that have already come into this community. We need to know what's left, if there be any. We need to have a deep dive accounting of what resources have been spent and where. I think we owe that to the residents, and I haven't seen it. I think we also need to have an inventory, and I would have that inventory done myself to find out what service lines have been replaced, because we got to know where we are to really devise and develop a plan as to where we're going. So we need to know what's been replaced, what's outstanding. We need to know what it will take to have those replaced and to address what's outstanding. Then we need to take the resources that may be available and start pairing it with that, and then develop a plan through relationships as to how we go out and get the rest of that money to make that happen. I think the residents deserve to know where we are and not have fluff and to be given illusions that, hey, water is good and everything's replaced. We know that that's not the case. I believe that's not the case. Because again, I know how my water smells, and I know how oily it feels on my skin when I'm showering. I know when I'm in the shower sometime and I'm all right for a bit, and then my skin starts itching and I got to hurry up and rinse off to get out the shower because the water is not of the quality that it should be. So we need to know where we are. We need to devise a plan. We need to be honest with the people of Flint to let you know where we are and where we aren't. And then we need to start plugging away. And then again, I think there needs to be a regular, daily update to the residents in some way that they know where we are and what it's taking to get things done. Do you feel you can handle the position of mayor because you are seen as Flint's savior? Flint has one savior, it's the Lord. I appreciate that. I appreciate the confidence. And not even as much as mayor, even as chairman of the County Board of Commissioners now, when you see me, you don't just see me, you see the God in me, you see the strength that he gives me, but you also see the push and the encouragement and the love of average people in this community that just want their community to be better. And so, do I think I have what it takes? I think that we can do whatever we want to do if we come together, have a vision that people support, have leaders that are going to work for the people, and that we unite and pull in the same direction. I think we, as a community, can do everything, because it's not as much what can the mayor do or what can the commissioner do. It's real leaders should be saying and suggesting how much we can do together if we walk together. And that's every elected official, every pastor, every leader, business leader, small businesses, activists, advocates, seniors, youth. What we can do together, I think we can do anything. What power do the commissioners have with the water? As it relates to Flint, no power, because Flint water, so the county, and this is not a popular answer, but it's the truth. The county does not own the water treatment facilities. When you get your water bill, it doesn't have Genesee County on it. We don't prepare your bills. We don't set your rates. None of those kinds of things. So I'd love to say, we control it, and but that would be dishonest. The county, we don't. So there's certain, just like the federal government and the state. The federal government has certain jurisdictions, same with the state, same with the county, same with the city. Your sidewalks, your water bills, that kind of thing, that's all City of Flint jurisdiction. And certainly if I was serving at the City of Flint, like I did before, I'd have jurisdiction. But as a county commissioner, we have zero jurisdiction over water in the City of Flint. That's the truth. You can research it. I'm proud of you, bro. Mike, man, I love you back, man. I'm proud of you for the live that you had the other night and everything that you shared, your passion. And obviously you come from an absolutely amazing family of leaders. And I think that if we had more leaders that served the way Floyd and Brenda Clack did, our community would be a lot further along and be in a much better space. If and when you get ready to become mayor, we can move forward behind the wheel. We know the truth, and every city needs a leader for righteousness that we see. Wow, Sherry. Wow. Thank you. Listen, and I mean this, I'm not perfect. There's only one that's perfect, and I'm not he. But what I will say is, I, like many of you, wake up every day and just try to be the best person that I can be. Flaws and all, just try to be the best person I can be, and to do my my best to serve people. Listen, it's not a money thing for me. I've been blessed. It's not a title thing for me. I had titles when I was a kid, literally, when I was in church as a youth leader, or a 22-year-old city councilman, or a 24-year-old city council president. So it's not the ego stuff for me. It truly is about helping people. I hope you run. You got my support.
Yeah, I'm right with him, Commissioner Lloyd. I'm right with James, man. I hope you run too, man. You our last hope, man. Wow. I hate to say it like that, man. But man, I just hate to say it like that, but it is what it is, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. It is what it is. But I appreciate you, and like I said, I thank you for coming spend time with us tonight. What you got for us in closing, man? Look at the camera and tell the world.
You want me to look right here, or you want just
look at the world. Look at the camera and tell the world. You know what I mean? Tell the world who you really is, man, and what you out to accomplish, man. And let's get out of here.
Man,
I know you're tired. Go ahead.
Man, listen, I appreciate it, but instead of talking about myself, I prefer to just kind of. I've never been a me, mine, I kind of guy. I'm all about we, ours, and us. And so instead of talking about me, I just want to talk about Flint. Our community is full of true survivors, really, really strong people who, despite, everything that's discouraging, our people still haven't given up. People may say, hey, I'm about to give up, or I should just give up, but our people haven't. And as closing words, I just want to say to our people, don't give up. There's still hope for Flint. There's still progress that we can make and progress that we can have. But we can't have that, and we won't have it if all of us throw in the towel and give up. So I'll just say to the residents in closing, don't stop, keep going. Keep holding all your elected officials accountable. Keep challenging all of us. Make sure that you scream from the highest mountain if you have to, what you want from us and what you want us to do, and challenge us and hold us accountable. And then the final words that I want to say is, the incivility, the lack of unity, the lack of love that we see in the community is not going to help us at all. Let them be terrible. And them being whoever you feel is doing that, but let us set an example of what we desire for this community to be. Thanks again for having me on tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And I look forward to coming on another time. God bless everybody that commented tonight. I appreciate the encouragement, all of the words spoken, but even more, give me your prayers, man, because I know I'm protected, but folks don't realize the weight that we carry just to do a good job and to stand for what's right. And I already know there's folks in this community, you know, that don't want you saying the things that you said, don't want me to succeed, don't want us to succeed, certainly don't want to see me run for mayor. And I've heard it multiple times. Folks are coming, they're coming after you, they're going to take you down. Nobody's going to take me down. The Lord's got me, and the Lord's got all of us. But I just want you to remember folks saying that when the attacks start coming, because they've already started. But fret not yourself of evildoers, neither be thou envious of the workers of iniquity, because they shall soon be cut down. It's not my battle, it's the Lord's battle. And my job is to keep fighting for all of you. God bless and good night.
Good night. Hope everybody tune back in to Flint After Dark. Thanks, Commissioner Lloyd.
Salute. Thanks for having me on, man. Get some rest.
Okay, yes, sir. Peace. We out of here.
Yeah. Thinking of myself like, what the fuck is going on? Asking God for help like, what the fuck I'm doing wrong? He ain't giving me no answers, I figured it out myself. Got tired of asking questions, I'm tired of looking for help. Man, I can't win for losing, I'm steady taking these losses. Had to bury greed and chink, same week, 2 different coffins. Man, that shit'll traumatize you when it ain't trying to. Everybody shedding tears, you trying not to cry too. They say they feel my pain, but they don't know how much I'm hurting. Mama told me pray, it usually help, but it ain't working. Just the numbness pain, I'm popping Perkins by the 30s.